practice. Yeah, purpose and practice. Keep your mental sharp, learn all the tactics. Dr. Ross dropping knowledge to the masses. Man, you now tuned in to purpose and practice. Yeah, purpose and practice. Podcast game, he got it mastered. Sign call. It's a 9-core banger. Dr. Ross.
Peace, fam. We are here today with Dr. Colbert, the newly robed Dr. Colbert. But before we get to conversate with the good brother, we're going to start off by just giving a shout out to all of you who tune in to Purpose and Practice. Purpose and Practice, as you know, is a podcast where we reach back to bring forward. So we dealing with the science of Sankofa, the science of making sure that we understand our history, and that we are constantly reaching back to those who have provided, our culture, pretty much the ingredients that we need for success. Those of you who have tuned into YouTube, thank you. I mean, we got folks tuning in on YouTube. We got folks in community tuning into Twitch. Definitely folks tuning into Facebook, and we appreciate all of the love here at Purpose and Practice in our podcast. This is episode number 9. Like, we're moving, man. Episode number 9. So we're one away, from pretty much a milestone of our 10th episode, which we will hit next Sunday. But without going too much into that, I want to welcome the brother we got we got somebody special today. Been doing his thing, man, kind of like staying low and firing. That's what I like to say. This brother I've known over the years. I know him going back 20 years at least. And I've watched the brother, move and navigate through many trials and tribulations in order for him to make it to the space where he is today. These are the stories, when we talk about purpose and practice, these are the stories I want to bring to you. Because sometimes you're rubbing shoulders with folks and people in our community who have lived extraordinary lives and have done extraordinary things, and we may not even know it. And on top of that, they may be able to bring blessings and bring value to your life. So those are the stories that we like to tell here at Purpose and Practice. So, Dr. Colbert, how you feeling, brother?
I'm feeling good. Definitely nice day. I'm out here.
I see you out on your I saw y'all was getting work done on is it patio area?
Well, it was a patio. Now it's a pretty big deck. And then I got a slab down there with my little basketball court, little move around basketball court for the kids. My son likes to shoot the ball, so.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Those home improvements are very, very important, and and adding on, to that foundation is very, very important. So, it's good that you're feeling good, man. It's good your family's in a good space, especially with everything going on, in our communities, not only our communities local, but just our communities, on a global level. It's just crazy times. But what I wanted to do, man, usually what we like to start off with is kind of going back and you telling us, a lot about you growing up, you coming up, as a youth, because we see where you're at now. We're calling you Dr. Colbert right now. I'm looking at all those letters behind your name, and I'm but to get to that, there's a journey, and that journey is really, really, really critical. So if we could just open up with you just kind of giving us, some background in terms of how you have made it to where you are right now. But we want to start with you as a youth, brother.
Okay. When I was young, born and raised Long Branch, New Jersey, Fifth Ave, Poolside, in the bricks, what I'm saying? Been all over. Lived probably in my childhood, I would say, until I got into high school, probably different 15, 16 different places throughout Long Branch, just constantly moving. When I first started off young, I had my mom and dad was both in the crib. My dad, he was around, and then eventually he left. You know, and I just want to make one point real quick. To me, my mom is one of the strongest persons ever because because what I know now that was going on and the tears that I didn't see then, man, it's like tremendous. You know, it was a lot of things going on. Just with him being out the house doing whatever he was doing, you know what I'm saying, and drinking, drugging, cheating. My mom knowing all this, you know, my mom being, you know, influenced into that lifestyle somewhat, you know what I'm saying, so going through her own struggles, whatever. But I never seen my mom cry. So I just want to make that shout out to my mom right now because that's one of the strongest women ever. Because she was there all the way until I was about like 16, and then I decided, you know, to take it away and go on my own.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow.
It's you know, I was like every other kid growing up in Long Branch, you know, just want to get outside and run around and play. I can't really say I never really had an inspiration or an influence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was always a goal that I wanted to be something. But what was it going to be? And then I found football to be one of my great assets. You know, so then I wanted to be football. But even before that, I wanted to have money. But it was never one individual person. So it wasn't somebody I seen on TV. I want to be like them. It's just like I want to see some sort of success because that's what you would hear. You know, oh man, you know what I'm saying? You got to do this to get this. You got to do this to get this. You got to do this to get this. Which that's all fine, but the formula was never there on how to do this in order for you to do that in order to get there. At least the formula that I could understand as a young youth. You know, because my environment, people ain't really care. You know, we out there and they out there trying to survive. They're not. I'm not getting the influence at home to do the correct things or to be mindful of yourself, to strive for better. You know, these are not the coaching, quote unquote quotes or, you know, saying cliches that are being said to me. You know, it's like, all right, did you go to school? Yeah, I went to school. Or the teacher called, mom, I'll tell you ass up, da 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 da. You know, so without a father figure, a mother can only do so much. So to keep a long story short, you know, my childhood was basically like everybody else's. My journey really doesn't start. You got to mind me because my childhood is, I got hit by a car when I was going to the 5th grade. I had a fractured skull and interior bleeding for the brain. I actually went into cardiac arrest on Lippincott in July. So they had to jump my heart and everything out there. And from that point on, you know, my memory is a lot better. My memory prior to that point is a little sketchy. I was in the hospital for about 6 weeks. I was in a coma for 2. So, you know, I'm gonna start from at least there, from the fifth grade.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Hold on. So you've been dropping like crazy. It's only been like 4 minutes, but it's so many things that I've noted that I want to go back to. But I wanna start there. So you said on Lippincott in July.
Yes.
You were hit by a car.
Yes.
And those of you who are familiar with Long Branch, you know that area, that road, like growing up in Long Branch, like that was like, if there was one thing your mom said when you went out to play, it was like, make sure you look both ways, especially when you over there. And I remember a brother, and I don't know if you remember the brother, Derwin, but he was killed.
On the bike.
Yes.
Yes.
He was killed on I think he was Lippincott in Rockwell. So he was like basically one street, one block over, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I remember growing up in Garfield Court, and I'll never forget, fam, like my mom and dad walked us over to where it happened. And this is when they had removed his body and everything, but they were out there on the scene still. His sneakers, they were all the way down by like the corner store when you going further up July. Yes. Yeah. So you had that kind of encounter too?
Absolutely. That it was this big old tree there. If you ever ride by it, you could see the stump because they cut it down. I don't know when they cut it down, but it was this big old tree there. And we used to always play football, baseball, kickball at Gregory School in the back. That was just where, you know what I'm saying, if you was over on that side of town, you go there, you could play. So I'm only assuming, because I don't remember the actual transaction, that I was going there and I was crossing the street on the other side of that tree and I didn't see that tree and that car took me out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That, when now we may say this, we talk about this story, we bring up Derwin, and I don't even know, there's probably countless others who come into some type of like crazy situation on those corners. And a lot of times we don't take into account the environmental, okay, things that are in place, and we can call them environmental inequities, because in some communities, okay, suburban communities, you don't have those types of intersections, so kids
Right.
are not playing in spaces like that. Like kids are playing in spaces where it's like 20 miles per hour, 15 miles per hour sometime. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, whereas that space where we in those are areas we play, just like you said, there was a school there.
Yeah.
So those are kind of things we got to look at in terms of environmentally, the things that are in our neighborhoods, especially when you are living in certain neighborhoods, i.e., if you're living in low income housing, if you're living in sections of the community that are poor and that have a lot of low socioeconomic status folks living in, most times, I'm not going to say sometimes, most times the living conditions are hazardous. Like
Yes.
they're just hazardous to your health in one way or the other. That's why I wanted to stop you there, because it could be easy to say, oh, you know what? He wasn't paying attention. He was, but
Right.
that was a maze. It was all like that game Frogger, when you got to try to
Yeah.
cross the street. Like that was a maze back then. And I remember that as a kid, we never wanted to have to cross to go to Pleasure Bay. Some of our friends lived on the other side. We didn't want to have to cross that road for those reasons, man.
Right.
So,
And even if the child, or like I would say me back then, even if I wasn't paying attention, just seeing an adult or being with an adult that crosses the street whenever they want. Don't you see what I'm saying? These are all subconscious things that influence things to do. So we as adults now, we as leaders now, we got to definitely set the example.
true. True.
So
You
yeah.
you talked about your moms,
Yes.
and you talked about your moms in terms of, first of all, you were like, yo, she just took all of this, and I never even
Right.
seen her cry. Like
Right.
I never knew,
Right.
and it sounds like now that you've grown to be a husband, grown to be a father, you understand more some of the things that she was going through as a
Absolutely.
mom, and even some things that
Absolutely.
your dad may have been going through as a dad.
Absolutely.
Yo,
Absolutely.
talk to that in terms of how that influences you now as a dad, you now as a husband.
It influences me now as a dad and as a husband because I'm not trying to reflect my father. You see what I'm saying? My father, he chose the path that he chose, and he did what he did. For whatever reasons, I never sat down. My dad has passed, and I never sat down with him to have that conversation. So I can't say, I'm not going to sit here and pass crazy judgment on the man. I'm just going to say that I don't want to reflect the behaviors that I know that he did, how he was to my mom. So that's what I try to stay away from. I don't want my child to grow up, both of my kids to grow up without having a father and mother in the household. That's the most important thing. You see what I'm saying? Because there's parts that a father gives and parts that a mother give that is irreplaceable. You see what I'm saying? You can, matter of fact, I'm not even going to say irreplaceable because you can replace it, but it will never meet the level of expectation or the level that's needed in order for it to be as effective as it needs to be. Because that's my personal opinion of what I believe. So I definitely want to be in the household, and I keep that in mind of being there for my seeds and being able to have that conversations. I didn't have a father figure. There was no talks. There was no schooling me on females.
Yeah.
There was no schooling me on how to dress and personal hygienes and things like this. You see what I'm saying? Some important things in life and just development. There was no schooling on this from a man's perspective or point of view. And if my mother can't school me on those things because my mother is worried about my three sisters that I got in the house. But my mother's also dealing with her demons, and I'm the oldest boy, so I'm off the porch. So now I'm bringing this BS to her. You see what I'm saying? My activities that I'm dealing with in these streets, and then she dealing with her own demons and 3 girls that what is she gonna do? You see what I'm saying? So I'm reckless. You know what I mean? I don't have a male's perspective. My only perspectives I'm getting from males is the older heads that I was chilling with, which is fine because that helps me with my survival on the street, but it doesn't teach me how to be a man in my house.
Because they're dealing with a lot of the things you just broke down. They don't understand those things either. Or they have a similar, if not the same kind of experience that you had. So there's only so much teaching that you on that level in terms of understanding spaces and places in our homes and our families. There's only so much. Like I just remember, it's just crazy what you dropped, because, and it took me a while to get to the point of almost like forgiving, almost like my mom's, my dad, like they had certain the demons you explained, same, right? Very similar. And the struggle, and we didn't realize going through the struggle, you think it's normal. So it's like a normalcy, until you kind of like get to a space where you start to, meeting other people and you start seeing other people's lifestyles and you're like, they ain't coming up the same way that I came up, but I got to a space where I had to be like, there was a lot that my dad was contending with. There was a lot that my mother was contending with. And that for sure helped me and informed the way that I am as a dad, big time,
Yeah,
and even big time. Go ahead.
It's mad important, man. I mean, my pops, he may have had all good intentions, but once my pops, I mean, everybody know he got into the drinking and drugging, man. It just went all downhill. So it affected me tremendously because that relationship was done at that point in time. You know what I'm saying? It was there. All right, I see you here. All right, I see you there. But let's put it this way, and this is the things I look back on now, and I really get the impact of it because I was so young and I couldn't get the impact. When I'm in the car with my two sisters, with my mom, who got her friend to pick her up, to take her over to Garfield Court, to go to my dad's side piece or girlfriend to get a couple dollars to go bail him out of jail.
Wow.
What? Bro, that shit is crazy.
Yeah.
You feel me? My bad.
It's all good. It's all good.
That's crazy. And when I look back on things like that now, I can see how I didn't understand it then, but I can see how it affected me. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes things affect you that you don't understand because, like you said, we think this is normal. So if it's normal, as I continue to grow, if I find myself in those situations, then I'm gonna repeat the same patterns of behaviors because it's normal.
True.
So,
so you know what? It's you, but this is why, and what you're telling, the story you're telling right now is so deep because I'm thinking back, it was like maybe 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, right? And I'm fast forwarding a little bit, but just roll with me. And there was someone from your doctoral course who had tweeted out, and she was like, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." And she may have said, "Mr. Colbert," I don't know what she said, but she was like, because you showed us today a perspective that we never looked at. And when people start thinking, like we always throw out, diversity is important, inclusivity is important, but when we think about why they're important and in our different experiences coming to a table and being heard and being seen, like when I read what she tweeted, that basically told me that because of you existing in that space, in those doctoral classes, it gave a lot of educators who are in those classes, who are working with children similar to us, how we grew up, and more of an understanding of like, this is what is out there. So I hate to fast forward too much, and we gonna circle back, but are these kind of the stories that you were sharing in your doctoral classes and kind of giving insight into different, perspectives?
Absolutely. The classes pushed you to dig in, you know what I'm saying? And with your experience, you see, so my experience, I know my experience of me coming up, I deal with troubled youth. I deal with troubled adults. You know, and that's my strong point. So if I'm digging in, then I'm gonna tell you how I felt at that time, how I came through that failure. Because in order to get to the point I'm at now, and I'm gonna elaborate, I have to look back at when I left home when I was 16. I've been on my own since then. When I put myself through my last year of high school when nobody knew, when I was homeless and I was sleeping at the train station and all that.
Wow.
So to tell these stories and to let and I'm only guessing that the educators that was in my doctoral program to see a real person sitting in front of them and telling these stories about how they grew and the adversities and all the obstacles they got over, it opened their eyes like it's possible. Like one of my mantras is, I'm not the exception, I am the potential, because regardless of the fact of how low you may be, there is a potential inside of you that you can grow out of it. You just have to start the process. They seen perspectives. They seen it from my vision. They had an introduction to the culture. You see what I'm saying? Because it's nothing special. It's just a way of life. You see what I'm saying? And in order to connect with the way of life, you got to hold the same communication. You see, you're trying to give someone a message, but you got to be able to communicate that message. In order to communicate that message, you got to know what that way of life is. It's not the word you're using, basically, is what I'm saying. So I just took the culture and was able to communicate that culture to where they can hear it and where they can understand it, to where it was like a oh wow moment. And that's pretty much, yeah.
Yo, so I'm like, because I'm reading that, and I was like, that's why we need more brothers and sisters in programs like that, in spaces like that, you know. And you touched on in just what you just said. You know, you went into, you know, homelessness. You went into understanding that there are situations that we can be going through. They don't define us, but they definitely have an impact on who we are. And unless you have relationships with young people, like when I'm just thinking of you now talking about homelessness, right?
Right.
And homelessness is real. Like, and unfortunately, we're in a moment where there are folks right now, based on this whole economic, you know, climate for our people. Now they had all these programs for people who couldn't pay their rent, people who couldn't pay mortgage, whatever, are going away. So now, in terms of evictions, that's going to start to escalate, and a lot of our kids are going to be on the back end of that, receiving that, the front end rather, not back, the front end, and they're going to be out on the streets. You know, so when you mention homelessness, and I've been reading a lot about homelessness now, because, you know, and I'm learning that there's different stages of homelessness, you know, and what you just explained, when you were going through that situation of homelessness, were you still, like you said, you were senior year, were you still engaged in school, or did you totally like kind of give, like, what was that like, man?
My engagement in school stayed consistent. But honestly, my mom came home one night or one day, or I seen her whenever, and she was like, if you don't like my rules, you can leave. And me being who I was, I said, all right, I'm out. Because I thought I was grown. You know, I'm in the 12th grade, I'm out, I'm pulling all-nighters, you know what I'm saying? We had Silvestris, 64 ounces OD with the ring on it. You know, it's a lot of stuff going on the weekend. So, you know, I'm like, all right, boom, I'm going, thinking that it's cool. I'm gonna be out here because I got the older heads, you know. And quickly came to find out that it wasn't a couch to sleep on. You know, when they went home, I didn't go home with them. So okay, what are you going to do now? But I have my pride, so I'm at the emergency room. I remember I had we used to have the watches, the calculator watches. I remember I had a black calculator watch. I set the alarm, and I know so to tell me what to sort of go off so it could wake me up, because the doctors is going to come in the office. And I go in there and I find one of those little doctor tables or whatever, lay it back, I go to sleep. Alarm wakes me up, I get up, I go downstairs. And I took pictures of this bathroom before and posted it on social media. I go downstairs to that bathroom by the emergency room when you first walk in. And that's right there where I will wash my face or, you know, brush my teeth, whatever. And then I'll take myself to school. Sometimes I'll show up to school, man, probably looking and smelling like garbage. Sometimes I show up to school and I'm okay. I got a couple outfits. How I got the outfits is how I got the outfits. But regardless of the fact, you see what I'm saying? I wasn't splattering this around. Yeah, I'm homeless. I ain't, that wasn't it. When I went to school, I had real issues when I was leaving school. What I'm gonna eat, what I'm saying, where I'm gonna rest my head. But I felt as though I was a man and I was gonna figure that out. You see what I'm saying? But also when I left school and then I would get with my quote unquote crew, what I'm saying, people I chill with, there was the fun activities. You see what I'm saying? There was the things that we do in order to enjoy ourselves. So that was like my release from stress, just to come right back to it. So now what do? I figure it out. We got the fountains. Okay, if somebody can get a fountains, give me a key to the fountains. They can't check rooms. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole. So yeah.
In that, unfortunately, that's not something that I don't know about, and I just think that that's why it's important for brothers such as yourself to tell your story, because truth be told, it's juniors and seniors in high school right now who are feeling what you just said, like that's speaking to them right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's why I'm like, this isn't like, brothers like yourself, it's important that we have you in situations where you are impacting young people, man, because a lot of times people say, oh, Dr. Colbert, and they can make assumptions about you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Real story. I'm going to tell real quick, right? My wife just shared this with me, right? One of her friends was like, text her and was like, yo, I just, I downloaded the podcast. I'm listening to the podcast, blah, 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 blah. And I'm learning a lot about, your husband that I never really knew. And like, I thought, he was just this straight intellectual who kind of came up, had everything good. But like, he really liked talking a language that I can identify with. And when she shared that, I said to her, Tiff, that's the reason why I'm doing this. Because the folks that I'm bringing onto the show, those are the folks, those are the folks that you could say, oh, Dr. Colbert, and you can make assumptions. Oh, you know what? He had it good. You know what I'm saying? Like he you know what I'm saying? But it's like, people need to hear these stories of resiliency, of sometimes, I'm gonna be honest, luck, being lucky. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not all about what we do. Sometimes it's about, I was in the right place at the right time in the right situation,
But let me just stop you right there, because my thing with luck is I also believe creating opportunity, because sometimes luck is creating opportunity by creating that energy. You know what I'm saying? Always just being on point. And eventually, if you on point, it's like Dave Bryant always say, do right by you.
True.
So
true. And it's funny because I go back and forth with people on luck, and even me, like, it was a time where I was like, there's no such thing as luck. There's no such thing, you know what I'm saying? And I get that. What you put out into the universe, you can expect back. We understand that. We know and understand that, right? What goes around is going to come right back to you. And but I just think about coming up, and I'm like, that situation, if it was just a little bit more to the left, I wouldn't be standing here right now. Like, I wouldn't, the Dr. Rawls that you see now, I wouldn't be the Dr. Rawls right now. You know what I'm saying? And I think, and that's something, to me, that's something that
I can relate. I understand.
Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? There's like, because, truth be told, you know this is the truth. Some of our brothers, some of our sisters who ended up on the other side of that line.
Yeah.
And better, like, they just as intelligent as X, Y, and Z. They're just as resourceful as X, Y, and Z. They got caught in a bad situation. You understand what I'm saying? And they've been spending their life trying to like get out of that entanglement, get out of that situation. So that's why I be looking at it like, it's so much more, like, because you could say work hard, work hard, work hard. But then sometimes it's like, I did all of that, and I'm still like, I still caught a bad situation.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So like, what I want to do, we kind of ended up that high school situation, and that was his senior year, and you senior year. I know you were a phenomenal football player.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, one of the best that I've seen. I watched you play, and definitely one of the best athletes and especially defensive players that I've seen and going to games and watching over 25 plus years
Let a lot of
of
people down.
football. Yeah, man. So in your senior year, you must have been through all of this stuff. Must have been going
Yeah.
on in the background,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you still doing your thing.
Yeah.
How did you like? What was from senior year to the summer of senior year? What was it like?
Well, it was tough, man. I started off as full player. Obviously, I was nice. You know, I did a lot. Um, and during football season, everything was gravy. Like everybody loved me. You know what I'm saying? People want, oh man, well I can't really say everybody loved me, but you're not shining the light on me. You see what I'm saying?
True.
You're not on me. You know what I'm saying? And I also want to give a shout out to you because I remember my senior year, you wrote that letter and the coach did read that letter to us in senior year for us to go ahead and get that championship. Definitely.
Yo.
So I definitely want to get that. Yeah, you was there, you know what I'm saying, from the side and you kept the spirit. So
Wow.
yeah. Yeah. So going through all that, you know, I got kicked off the team like twice, 2 times, well, 3 times really. I got kicked off the team 2 times. Just for, you know, coming to practice late, you know, misbehaviors, you know, mouthing off at the coaches or whatever. The last time I got kicked off the team, I actually got kicked off the day before the championship game because I punched the guy in his face. Emotions got the best of me, emotions got the best of me, you know, and I punched him in his face. And I knew I was on thin ice anyway because I had created so many infractions, you know, or so much of a troublemaker, you know, through that whole senior year. I didn't even play in the homecoming game. You know, they took the homecoming game away from me. I missed 2 or 3 games just off of behavior issues, and then was kicked off the team. Shout out to myself because I still had 29 sacks and I still hold that sack record. You know what I'm saying? So let's put that out there. But just the way, you know, but it's all encompassed because, you know, when I leave there, I'm still homeless. You know what I'm saying? Or let's put it this way, because you know the different levels. Call me couch surfing, because at times, yes, someone did offer me a place to stay on the couch or whatever. So I'm not going to say fully homeless. So, you know, I was couch surfing, but at times I did sleep in the train station, the emergency room, somebody's hallway, you know, and things like that. And that was my stress, and that was my worry. That was my I don't care. You know, me and my mom always kept a great relationship though throughout all that. You see what I'm saying? I mean, truth be told, my mom left the window of my house open, so I would sneak in the house to get clothes. You see what I'm saying? I wasn't like just walk around with one pair of clothes, but I did not go in there and sleep that night. But if I have to go in there and get a clothes, I'll go and get some clothes. And till this day, we have conversations, and she says she knew I was coming in getting clothes, but she had to let me do me. You know what I'm saying? She just couldn't at that time. She was under so much stress, basically. So, you know, and then going through the school, same old thing, man. All I can say is about my high school years, I was an extreme troublemaker. You see what I'm saying? When I had to take my this end of the school year test, I would come to school, and if you remember the old high school, you come straight through the front. If you go to the left, there's a stairway. And you remember it was some little stairs that led up to a little room?
True, yes.
I had to take my test in that room.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
To keep you away from everybody else.
Yeah, that's how much of a problem I was. Now, I do want to say something. Academic-wise, I had the ability to pass. You see what I'm saying? If I would have applied myself, I would have had some tremendous grades. But because I really didn't apply, I didn't study, I didn't do this, you know, I would get the mediocre or whatever grade you want to call it. Here, get a D here, here, get a C here. And I'll say, all right, you need this to pass the class. I'll go ahead and get that, and things like that. So
just enough to get by.
Just enough to get by, you know, because schoolwork has never really been a challenge to me. I've been tough because I was always able to problem solve. And I have to attribute that to having to problem solve in my childhood, period. You know, just try to figure out how to make it happen, figure out how to get it through, figure out the easiest way to get from A to B, you know? Yeah.
Yo,
So my
so
high school
yo.
was definitely troubled. To the point where if you was to take a poll when we left and graduated high school, I would have probably definitely been on the top of the list to be dead in jail
Mhm,
or
mhm.
just broke homeless somewhere right now. Absolutely nothing off the face of this earth.
And and I don't know about you, but I'm petty like this, right? So because I was on some of those lists, and I know I was on some of those lists, because, even in high school, it would get back to me from some of my peers who were higher achievers in school, or just kind of doing what they need, doing the right thing in school,
Yes.
and it would get back to me. They would be like, "Yo, Miss such and such or Mrs. such and such," be like, "Why are you hanging out with him? Or why you dating him?" So I feel like I be petty sometimes. I'm gonna keep it real. I'll be like, "Yo, yeah, I'm that dude that, teachers, that sometimes administrators was like, not him." You know what I'm saying? Like, but I think that it's important that people hear that, because the young people who are in these schools right now, right?
Yes.
They have the potential and the ability, like you said, that critical thinking. They have done more critical thinking from, let's say, the night before, 11 p.m. at night to 8 p.m. to get to 8 a.m. to get to your school, to get to your homeroom. They've done more critical thinking in that short period
Right.
than you could ever ask them to do in a classroom. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? like,
Yeah.
so that became easy. Like that
Yeah.
was easy for us. So, definitely a shout out to that. And there's some research on that, which I'm gonna share with you, and you may be
Huh?
familiar with it already, but and I love it because it's called the Urban Hassles Index. And
Hmm.
it basically starts to break down all of the hassles that urban youth go through in their communities before they even get to school. Like
Right.
in their communities, the things that they have to overcome, in the critical thinking that they have to operate on in order to survive. Because if you don't have, because even when we talk about crossing those streets, even when we
Yeah.
talk about like environmental things like that, that's survival of the fittest. That's like critical thinking. That's like,
Right.
I can't be a kid right now, because if I think like a kid right now, it can get me killed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm not thinking on a higher level, it can get me killed.
Right.
So I, I think when I talk to young people, I talk about 8 years, right? I say, from me and my experiences, the most important 8 years in our lives are our 4 years in high school and our 4 years after high school. Okay?
Right.
Because I
Right.
believe, especially those 4 years after high school, I believe that when I look back, I'm like, yo, that's where my life was decided. Like that's where, things were decided. When you think about those 4 years after high school, what were those initial 4 years after high school like for you?
Those initial 4 years after high school was homelessness, couch surfing, still the same thing, and being in the streets, thugging, just to put it all out there, and going hard and trying to survive, trying to figure things out. But I don't got time to figure things out because I gotta live and I gotta survive. I'm already off the porch, but most of my peers that are around me, they ain't even off the porch as far as I am yet. So I've always flocked to the older crowd. So those 4 years was tough. A lot of drinking, a lot of drugging, bro. You know what I'm saying? A lot
Yep.
of everything. I had depressed moments, extreme depressed times. I remember being in Cherry Street playing Russian roulette. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
it was like that. You see what I'm saying? Because there was no hope. What are you going to do? You're out of school. You just had all from what people are saying, you had all of these colleges looking at you because no one never spoke to me, personally. You ain't even got that no more. The only thing that you had going in your life that you was doing good, you fucked that up. You see what I'm saying? So what are you doing right now? Now you in these streets, and now you getting what you can't go nowhere. You can't do nothing. How do you even apply to college? You don't know how to apply to college. You don't know that there's loans out there for you to go to college. You homeless. Yeah. Best thing ever. My mom picked up after I graduated, left. She took the kids down south to get her straight because she still had to raise my other sisters. Now you up here, you by yourself, and all you got is your boys out in the street. What is you gonna do? You don't know nothing. You gonna get a job? Is your attitude going to allow you to take commands from somebody else telling you to do something you don't want to do? Because all you want to do right now is be out in them streets, and all you want to do right now is engage in those activities. And that was years that happened, but I continued to fail. You see what I'm saying? And fail. You see what I'm saying? I never got myself established. Then I go down south somewhere to around my mom and stuff like that, and still fail. Everywhere you're going, you're failing. You're not getting nothing. And eventually, after all the failure, 155 times of the same failure, maybe I should change this one thing and I won't fail this one task anymore. And when I did that, I started seeing a shift. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about from how I'm interpreting what someone is saying to me. You see what I'm saying? If I got a job and my boss is telling me something, is it threatening, or is he just telling me as a boss to go ahead and do this? Even if it is threatening, do I take it as threatening and handle it like I would handle it down the street? You see what I'm saying? These are the things I had to reteach myself, or I had to teach myself.
Hold on.
And once I was...
you listen, you messed me up with that, because that's so real. And you like, yo, who you talking to like that?
Yeah.
Or you got to change your mind like, oh, or is he trying to school me on something?
Yeah, because that's the way I interpreted the teachers talking to me in school. And that's the way I came at them. That's the way I interpreted the coaches on the football team talking to me. The same way I interpreted in the streets, because at that point in time, and like I said, I love my mom, but she had to give that attention to my daughters, which she had to, and she just gave me the attention she could. At that time, my father, you know what I'm saying, that male figure was the streets. So that's where my influence was. That's how I was developing. So that's how I would react to these people. And I had to come to that understanding on my own after constantly failing, because I never had nobody break it down to me and be like, this is what this is. And once I did that, then I started to grow and started, to see things and change. But by that time, you know what I'm saying, we maybe 3-4 years, and not even, 18, 22, 23. Yes, that was like 5, 6, 7 years after high school. After high school, 6-7 years after high school. I didn't really start focusing until I was 27. 27. So I already spent 10 of them things just on that, you see? But I'll take you back to what you said, lucky. Because I give it, why ain't he in jail? Lucky. I'll put that there. I'll put that there. Why you said why would he, why ain't that happen? Why don't you have a jacket? Lucky, I'll put that there. So although I wasn't extravagant or extra grimy, but I had to survive. So my motives may have been, a little different. But yeah, man, it took a while until I was 27. Then I'm focusing. Then I'm driving trucks. The little 9-to-5 with Color Produce. Making a couple dollars, but that ain't going nowhere. Color Produce, I'm still cool with them to this day, but the bosses is banging you over the head like you ain't nothing, because everybody who works within Color Produce, you know what I'm saying, we need Color Produce because ain't nobody else really messing with us, because we got this bad reputation.
True.
And then I always remember my grandma telling me, she said, you know what? She says, you need to go to the service, baby. She's always said this. I ain't going to service. So at age 29, I had already met my wife. Me and my wife was together for about a year and some change. And my wife was she was doing her thing at the hospital, Started out per diem at the emergency room, and she started coming up in the ranks, making money. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, man, you know what? I gotta get right. It's time for me to turn up. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go to the military. That's what I said. I'm 29 years old. Or I'm 28 years old when I make this decision.
Wow.
So drive to the recruiters. I'm like, I walk in there, I says, listen, I want to join the Army. I said, you ain't got to sell me on nothing. Just tell me what I got to do in order for me to get there. It took 1 year. I had to get so many waivers. I had to go out of state, in state, waiver this, waiver this, waiver this, waiver this, waiver this, as well as take a tattoo off my neck to put me into the military. I went into the military, did 4 years, 22 weeks, and was medically discharged after I came back from Iraq.
Wow. What branch? What branch you
I was
go?
in the Army, 82nd Airborne Division. I was a paratrooper.
Okay.
So by this time, when I went into the military, I had already taught myself how to live or how to perceive what someone is saying. Because I'm 29 in the military, you 21, you a sergeant, I'm a private. You telling me to keep my face? Like, you know what I'm saying? What? Like, what? So, yeah.
Yo, so you went military.
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't realize it was that late, fam.
Yeah, I was 29 when I went in. I was 29 when I went in because I had to get so many different waivers because of all my, but I ain't have nothing. And they really wanted people, but I ain't really have nothing outrageous.
Yeah.
And just doing that, getting away, it was good because it allowed me to strengthen my discipline. And when I say strengthen my discipline is I used the military as a reason, I would say. Sometimes we need something to motivate us, to fall back on, and my motto for myself is a soldier only needs 4 hours of sleep. That's how I got my associate's, bachelor's, master's degree in 3 years and like 6 months. You see what I'm saying? A soldier only needs 4 hours of sleep. So I come home, I'm with my wife and everything. They go down, I'm up and I'm doing these papers and I'm knocking them out.
No doubt.
I have this, you see what I'm saying? So,
no doubt. Like that, what you just said is something that, even when I was going through my studies, and I was never in the military, and definitely, I appreciate all those who take that route because that's real. But I always was like, yo, I want to outwork everybody. Like I just had that. I had that in my mind I can think all the way back to probably middle school of thinking that if I'm working harder than everybody else, then that's only going to make me better. And I would literally, even like in the weight room, everywhere, everything I did, I would think about such and such is not doing this right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if I'm doing it and they're not doing it, it's making me better. Absolutely. And it's going to make me better than them. So I definitely get that part, when you break it down kind of as a soldier. And I like that because I had this militant way, and it was militant. It was like, I want to beat other people. Like that was real to me. Like I want to defeat people. Like and I didn't mean it. It wasn't in a way of like, being negative to people, but I was like, yo, nobody's going to get anything because I didn't work harder than them. Right. You know what I'm saying? So when you just said that, that's critical, man, because I did those late nights, having young kids going through this program. And that's why even like, and shout out to KK when she had posted that, she had posted like your graduation pictures and everything. And I was like, yo, salute to the whole family. Because I know how everybody kind of like has to sacrifice for that to happen, yo. At our age, like the way we did it, because I had 2 kids when I did it. So it was like I had to wait until they went to sleep in order to work from 1 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the morning to get up and go to work in order to make it happen. So I definitely respect that. But I knew when I was doing that, and I don't know if you felt, but in the folks out there, I knew it wasn't going to be, this ain't something I got to do all of the time, but it's something I got to do from now for the next, let's say 10 months in order to achieve this goal. And then I can go back to, like how I'm used to living.
Yeah, it's a consistency you definitely need to develop. What I did when I left the military, when I got out of the military, I got low. I didn't allow myself to go back to my influences.
True.
And all I did was engulf myself in school. You see, the military was it wasn't one of those, I want to go in the military and fight for my country. The military was a part of the plan. And my wife would tell you, I said, I'm going in this military to secure this bag. So when I come out, I'm gonna go to school and I'm gonna get these degrees on they dime, and then we gonna be good. It's just that it worked out just like that. That was the plan all along. But I knew I had to have a specific discipline and focus and stay on that track in order to make it happen.
Wow. So you had the plan in mind.
It's the plan. Me and my wife been talking. We knew all this was, well, we was hoping all this was going to come out, and it actually came true to the point like, wow. Now the extra doctorate, that wasn't really a part of the plan. It just so happened that I went and got it, and it was probably one of those. It was probably an emotional thing, you know. In order to get it, I really was only true story. This is how I got my doctorate degree. I was going to Monmouth. I went to Monmouth University to get a SAC degree. I seen doctorate of education on the wall. I went in there, talked to Dr. Brake, and he said, "Send me a letter." You know what I'm saying? And references that they did all that. They accepted me, and that's how I started the program. I never was really searching out for a doctorate degree. However, my motivation in education comes from just holding people accountable. Throughout my whole life, man, everybody wanted to hold me accountable, even when I didn't know nothing. When I was in grade schools and stuff like that, everybody want to hold me accountable when I'm going through hard times. Nobody want to know what's the reason why. You just want to hold me accountable for my faults. So now I'm about to put in this work. And then when I get to these levels, and this is the social work in me, and I got to be real. When I get to these levels, yes, I'm going to hold you accountable, but I'm also going to hold the people accountable that hold you accountable. Because if you fail in them, then how can you hold them accountable? Yes. And that is the push that drives my fire, man.
Yes. And real talk. And one of the things, I'm working on right now, getting some parents together to get parents on this show, because what you just said is the reason why. Because a lot of times most times the system is what needs to be held accountable.
Yes.
Not the individuals who are suffering in the system. Because we like to blame, because it's easy to blame the young Elfers, the young Damons. It's easy to blame us because it's one person. Oh, he didn't take this test, or he didn't do this seriously, or he didn't. So that's why he failed. But very seldom do we look at the system and blame, hey, is the system constructed the way that the system needs to be to benefit young Elford, to benefit young Damon? Or are we failing them systematically? So I'm with you on that, like holding the system accountable, like that, fam. Like, and that, you know what? That's what drives me every single day. And a lot of times it's put me at odds with other administrators because I have more of a student advocate, parent advocate approach to education as opposed to protecting the system. You know what I'm saying? So that's deep that you just said that.
Yes, that drives me all the way, bro. I mean, that's why I'm here, man. That's what I do. I don't really. It's hard to say it this way, but it's hard for me to not find a different way to say it. I'm here for the struggle. This is my purpose. You see what I'm saying? This is what I came from. This is my purpose, to be here, to have someone to represent. You see what I'm saying? If you fail, if I'm helping you in any capacity, whether it's an adult or it's a child, if you fail, I failed. I failed you because you failed. You see, it's not because I'm not going to look for angles to say, oh, you should have did this, you should have did that. No, I should have figured out a better way to communicate with you in order to have you get here. That's my job, because that's how I look at it. Now, some people can argue and give opinions about it, but me personally, that's the way I look at it, because I've been there, man. I came from all the way at the bottom, the homelessness, and you want to call it whatever you want to call it, man. Whatever you want to say a child is doing or thinking, I've been somewhere in the similarities of that realm, you know what I'm saying, for an extended period of time. So for me to be up here now and to have a master's in social work, a doctorate in education, and for people to look at me as an inspiration, then I have to be a true inspiration. You see what I'm saying? I am the potential. And I'm gonna give you what I can give to you. You know, And I've reached out to you before with my gripes over not being able to work in a school or get in the school system. And to be honest with you, where I'm at in my life right now and having this degree right now, where I do this for free. I'm good. My employment right now is good. I ain't even in the schools. I'm good. That's going to take care of itself. But anything that come outside of that, man, I don't even need to be charged. I'm going to give you that for free. I put down, hey, man, if you can't afford childcare, I got 2 kids. I'm working from home. Bring them over. Bring your kids over with your laptops and computers. Plug it in. You know what I'm saying? And we'll do it here.
True.
I'm giving all this. I'm giving all this back, man, because this is what it is, man. That's my passion. I get gratification off of other people succeeding, and that's just what it is. That's that because for me, I'm gonna continue to work it and make it happen. But if I can help someone else get out there, then I know that it's a ton of stuff lifted off their shoulders, man. For real talk.
Oh, and that's what you're doing, man. And I think, when we think back to the freedom schools, because one of the things that this whole COVID thing is bringing out is that it's forcing people to be like, yo, when it come to education, it's on you. Like right now, education for the most part is on families in a lot of areas. Like families got to hold it down. And there was a time in this country where Black folks, we didn't have access to educational systems. So we had to create our own. So when you talk about, when you post about like, yo, they can come over here. That's how freedom schools evolved. That's how freedom schools came to be what they are today. And there's still freedom schools in our country. But it was people like yourself getting together with other people and saying, all right, how can we create a system within our little neighborhood or within our community to educate our children? Right. You know what I'm saying? So with the tree that you're barking up is one that we at one point was the only education we had in this country.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
It was the only education that we had. Right. And I consider you family to what we're doing here in Purpose and Practice. And and I'm hoping that, because one of the things that I want to start doing is having some courses for our young men, our young women out there, in kind of giving them some of these tools in terms of like what we're talking about. Absolutely. Because these things are jewels, and they're things that I know, man, these recipes that we're talking about, ingredients in our lives, it will help our young people, Yes. And I'm hoping that you will be a part of that, man, because you're already doing it. But what I want to try to do is bring to folks where we could say, all right, y'all kids, all right, they're getting that virtual learning, what they're getting. But if you want a little extra, and if you want to really start digging deep into some things, we got these brothers who are willing to be on, and sisters who are willing to be on once a week, twice a week, and we can read a book, we can discuss some things. Like, that's what I'm trying to get to. Right. And I think that you would be someone who would be like phenomenal in terms of being part of that, man, because you're doing it. Fam, you definitely listen, man, the last couple of episodes that I had, I'm like, yo, we need a part 2. Because it's too. We haven't even gotten to.
We ain't getting nowhere.
Yo, yo.
And I'm like, trying to get it all in. Like,
no. Listen. Yeah. I have notes that I have like part two. So you definitely gonna fall into one of those slots of like, we need to continue this conversation, because we didn't even get to the transformational part. We didn't even get to like, but I didn't want to take away, God, I didn't want to take away from the things that you experienced before we can call you Dr. Colbert, because I think it's easy to just say, oh, that's Dr. Colbert. If he can make it, you can make it. But
Yeah.
it's not that simple. You know
It's
what I'm
not. It's not.
saying?
Yeah. It's not. It's
It's
not.
not, yo. It's not. Listen. What I like.
You
One
can,
of the things. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah. It's not that simple because you can't. A lot of times people try to take the same. They try to be you and make it happen. And
Mm-hmm.
you got to be yourself, man. You got to take. I heard it. I don't know where did I hear that? What's the name? I think. Method Man said it, and I was listening to this interview he was doing, and he's talking about acting, and he said this great producer or whatever told him some stuff, and he said, yeah, I took it and I interpreted it my way, and I was like, that's exactly how you have to build and how you have to move forward. You have to do it your way. You can't use the same ingredients this person used, but you can see his process and then make that process yours to fit your character in order for you to move forward.
Indeed.
And that's
And taking out that best part, as we've
Yeah.
been taught, take out the best part and use that part, and then keep it moving. Like
Absolutely.
so. With that said, let me ask you this: is
Okay.
one of the things I like asking all of the brothers, all of the sisters that we have on the show, all of the guests we have on the show. I like to ask the question of, if you had to give advice, to your high school self, what would that advice be?
embrace the struggle.
I like that.
Embrace the struggle. That was I take a lot of quotes and stuff and I keep them to myself. Even if I make them up myself, I like to think that I coined that, but I'm pretty sure somebody said it before. Because once I started living off that mantra, embrace the struggle, a lot of things became a lot easier. Because now when it is a struggle, I'm not worrying. I'm not anxious over it. Oh, it's a struggle? All right, let's go. Embrace it. We're going to work through it. We're going to work through it. It's making sense to me to work through because I'm relying on embrace the struggle. You see what I'm saying?
I like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I like that. So, brother, doctor, I'm gonna call you Dr. Colbert. Give you your respect, fam. Cause I'm just excited. I'm excited to be able to say that. Like that's deep.
I don't know. It's weird because some people will say it, some people won't. Because some people, I don't know, they just won't. And I'm
brother,
like, yeah.
Get your respect. Put some respect on the name. Listen. I'm like, this is my feeling on it, right? And I don't get all caught up in it. But at the end of the day, there's some circles where people are just like, yo, you the brother, so it is what it is. Like, and there's love there. But then there's other circles where people don't want to bear witness to calling you that.
Absolutely.
So my thing, so you just gotta realize where you're at, the space. When I'm with my fam, my peeps, like, listen, man, don't call me Dr. Raw. But there's some space in it. It's like, yo, give me my respect. Just like you would give anyone else theirs.
Absolutely.
So I always lead with, because, yo, fam, people need to know that, man. People, like, our young people, they need to hear that.
Right.
They need to feel that. They need to hear that, because then they're going to start asking you questions in terms of like, yo, how did you become Dr. Colbert?
Right.
What did you have to do to become Dr. Colbert? And I think that's critical. I think your story is critical, so you can't leave that out. Listen, if it's one thing I'm going to say is, you can't leave that. Yo, I'm not leaving it out. And I'm not, and this is not me being like, yo, I'm just being stuck on myself or arrogant. No, it's basically because our history in this country, we had to fight for education. Like we had to, we were either undereducated or not educated in this country. Right. And the fact that we have brothers and sisters reaching doctoral degrees right now, that's on the shoulders of many of our ancestors who fought for us just to get a free public education. So I can't say, yo, I'm not, don't worry about it. Listen, so
I appreciate it. Yo, I'm about to start getting that respect too. Me, I was like, what I'm saying?
Man,
like, I mean, do they call it to me outside of school? Like, so I'm like, all right.
Listen, man.
Thank you for that perspective, because now I look more into it now. Yes,
you need to, fam. You need to, and it's all for the advancement of others who may not think they can make it to that level. And that's how I think about it. I don't think about it as, hey, it's not about putting me on a pedestal, but it's about thinking about the history of our culture and
Right.
our people in terms of education in this country. And to reach the pinnacle, there's no higher. You can't go no higher.
Yeah.
Like to reach that, that's
Yes.
saying something. And it needs to be said. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna get off my soapbox. And, because that's real to me, fam. That right there is real to me. You know, it's real to me. But what I'm gonna say to you is, what I like to do is like get some closing remarks. You know, if there's anything you want to get out there to the people, you share so much, and we definitely gonna get you back on. But if there's anything that you want to wrap up and close, you know, in terms of, you know, getting a message out to the people, now's the time.
Just embrace the struggles, man. Any struggles that you guys are in, you know, embrace those struggles and work through them. Nothing lasts forever. So whatever hardships, you know, struggles, pain, you know what I'm saying, confusions, you know, and also happiness. Just realize that feeling doesn't last forever. It's only a feeling and it's a moment. So we're going to return back to our baseline. And when we return back to our baseline, we got to be focused and ready to move forward. Enjoy the moment or embrace the moment, however you want to look at it. But know you will return to your baseline. And we got to continue to keep moving because time don't stop for nothing.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Dr. Colbert joined the Purpose and Practice episode, you know, number 9, which I think number 9 is very special. It's a great it's a great episode for you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So everything works out in the universe the way that it needs to work out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
This is an episode of completion. And you know, so it means a lot to me that you're the number 9 episode. And you know, we definitely consider you family to the podcast, and we will definitely be reaching back out to get you back on and to discuss more, because I think we kind of cut it off at a right spot in terms of your transition and your transformation, leaving military. And I really want to pick up with coming home from military and then kind of re-emerging into society. So we're going to get you back on a part 2. So I'm just putting it out there right now.
Absolutely.
So to the Purpose and Practice family, those of you who came out and enjoyed the podcast today, we appreciate you. Lots of comments in the comment section. Shout out to the train rolling through Long Branch right now.
Facts.
Yo, that's what time it is. Listen, we know how that go. But really, we respect all of you who listen, all of you who tune in rather. We appreciate it here at Purpose and Practice. Looking forward to continuing to bring you brothers like Dr. Colbert onto the show to talk realness and things that you can connect with and understand. So with that said, I wish all of you a great week, a successful week, a week of production. And it's peace out from Purpose and Practice with our guest, Dr. Colbert. And I'm your host, Dr. Ross Dill. Peace out. We will definitely see you next time.
It's a 9-core banger. Dr. Ross dropping knowledge to the masses. Man, you now tuned in to Purpose and Practice. Ay, yeah, Purpose and Practice. Keep your mental sharp, learn all the tactics. Dr. Ross dropping knowledge to the masses. Man, you now tuned in to Purpose and Practice. Ay, yeah, Purpose and Practice. Podcast game, ay, he got it mastered. It's 9-core.